I'm going to use this thing anyway. I had it planned out when I came over here that I wasn't going to use the microphone. I was going to have everybody sit in a big circle and stuff like that. But there's more people than I thought were going to be here, so we'll do it this way. So, I don't see. Is one of you Jennifer Coleman from the Eastern Shore of Maryland? No. Okay. Well, she was going to come by, but she didn't. She's not here, so that's why I'm stalling, because sometimes people have a little trouble getting here in traffic and such. So, okay. As a show of hands, who's never done Kundalini yoga before ever? Got 2 people. Okay, good. I think the first workshop I did here at Sattvic Space, I said, who's never, there was like 18 people in the room, I said, who's never done Kundalini yoga before? And 16 people raised their hands. That should have been the basis of Kundalini class, but I had something else planned. So, yeah, so today we're gonna talk about the basics of Kundalini yoga, just what it is and how it works and why it's good for you and all that stuff, which you should decide for yourself. But right now, and if you can join us if you want. If somebody comes in, you can always, like, yeah, that'd be cool. So what we'll do is, this is my plan. See if you like it. We'll tune in with the mantra that we tune in with. And then I think we'll do some yoga first, and then we're all on the same page. And then I want to show you a video, which I think is really cool, that I put together that shows how Kundalini and all that stuff works. Or how energy works, rather. So, and then what we'll do is we'll after the yoga we'll talk a little bit about Kundalini and how that stuff works, and then we'll do a couple of meditations to drive it home. Sound like a good plan? Okay, cool. All right, so let's sit in a meditative posture. Sit like a yogi, as they say. And to do that, sit tall, push your seat down, and make the spine very straight. Close your eyes, and just connect with the breath really quickly. Notice the breath and how you're breathing. As soon as you become conscious of your breath, your aura begins to expand. And that's because your consciousness, your soul is just waiting for you. It's waiting for you. But we get all caught up in the mind and going back and forth about stuff and get pulled into the day-to-day, and we forget about it. So that's why we got the yoga, so we can remember. We can get back to it, and then yoga means union, basically, that unity. And we get back into that unity, and then we make that the habit. And you develop a meditative mind, and then it's the flow of your soul all the way. And then neurosis and all that bouncing back and forth and the pain in the ass stuff that happens in day-to-day life kind of floats away. But that's why they call it practice. It takes some practice. Okay, now bring the palms together in the center of the chest and rub the palms together. Generate some heat. All right. And then place the thumbs at the center of the chest, right above the solar plexus, at that breastbone. It's called the mind nerve. So if you press those thumbs sort of firmly into the chest and lift the elbows up so that they're parallel to the ground, this is called Anjali Mudra, or a prayer pose. And the interesting about it is Kundalini Yoga is a technology. So when you press those thumbs like this into that mind nerve at the breastplate, it actually activates a meditative mind. It sends a signal into the neurons in your brain that you're about to meditate. So that's what this posture does. It's not just, kind of graceful folded hands, nice stuff we do. Everything in Kundalini Yoga is a technology, which is what drew me to it. And which is what I hope will turn you on about it, is that everything can be explained scientifically. It's a science of the mind, body, soul, human, bioorganic computer. And that's what you are. You're an energy field on a network of energy called the universe. And Kundalini Yoga is the technology to help you navigate that energy and make it work for you. So now take a very big inhale here and hold it. Inside that breath, something called prana, which is a subtle life force energy. It's your consciousness. It's a subatomic energy. Exhale, let it go. And inhale again, deep as you can. Hold that again and feel. You can feel the energy probably start to move, generally up the spine into the head. Because again, you're paying attention to the breath and it's waiting for you. The consciousness is waiting for you to come home. Exhale. And one more time, inhale. Deep, deep, deep. Now hold the breath and now squeeze the rectum, squeeze the sex organs and squeeze the navel in. And just push that energy up into the top of the head. Exhale. And that's how you activate the Kundalini. It's activated there with that root lock. And now we're going to chant a mantra called the Adi mantra, which is what we use to tune in Kundalini Yoga. And the words are Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om is the creative force. It's that thing in nature that's constantly creating. Om, that's the sound of it. O-N-G. Namo is to bow in reverence, to give reverence to. So Om Namo, I bow to the Creator, that force that's creating everything. And then Guru is the enlightening force, the revealing force. Gu is darkness, Ru is light. So the Guru is that, it reveals, it like pulls back the covers on things so you go, aha, this is what's really going on. So Guru is that revealing force. It's an actual force of the teacher. It's your own teacher that's inside of you. And Devas are angelic beings. So we're calling on the Guru Devas, those angelic beings that come in, they help us open a sacred space, and they help us reveal our own consciousness to ourselves. So it's a force of the wisdom. It's the teaching force that you have inside of you. It's your intuition that tells you the way to go back to your soul. And again, Namo, I bow to that. I bow to that angelic force that's going to guide me. So Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. And we'll chant that 3 times and inhale to begin. Om. Exhale. And we chant a mantra of protection. Those of you that know it, chant with me. And for those of you who are new, just imitate and copy the sounds. And inhale. Admure name, Jugadmure name, Sadmure name, Siri Gurudeve name, Admure name, Jugadmure name, Sadgure name, Siri Gurudeve name, Admure name, Jugadmure name, Sadgure name, Siri Gurudeve name, Admure name, Jugadmure name, Sadgure name, Siri Gurudeve name. Inhale. exhale. Okay, relax the hands down. So, just take a note of how you feel right now. We're going to do some yoga, and then we'll talk about this Kundalini, what it is and all that, after we have an experience of it. So, it'll give you a little bit more to work with. Okay? But before we start, I think there's some breath of fire in this set. So I just want to, for my new people, breath of fire is one of the most common breaths that we do in Kundalini Yoga. And it's really simple. And it's actually taught quite a bit wrong online. So I like to tell people what it is up front. So breath of fire is just simply an inhale and exhale with no pause. So you just inhale, exhale, like, and it just has to be even. There's no specification on how fast. It just has to be even with no pause between the inhale and the exhale. And that's breath of fire. What will happen naturally if you just do that, a rhythm will develop. And then it can become very powerful. You can get really good at it. And when you're just beginning, breath of fire gets you really like high and spaced out. So that, because you're not used to all that oxygen coming into the blood all at once. Some people pay a lot of money for that on the street. I was a little upset when I first started Kundalini Yoga. I said, let me get this straight. I don't need to go to a dealer to feel like this? Okay, cool. So, but that's the thing. Yogi Bhajan, who came, he was the master of this yoga, came here in 1969. He was telling people, as he saw, that was kind of the hippie revolution time. And he started telling people, you don't need drugs to do this. The body's got its own capacity to stimulate the glands in the brain, and you can actually improve the state of your physical form instead of kind of degrading it. Because when you do drugs, you work on the brain, but it has deleterious effects that happen afterwards, right? But with this, you put the work in up front, and it improves the body and the brain. So breath of fire, even inhale, even exhale, and what it'll do is it'll take the energy up, and it'll also like really detoxify the blood very quickly. So let's just do it for a real quick minute, and then just have an experience of it, okay? So begin. Find your rhythm with it, just inhaling and exhaling evenly. Take your attention, with the closed eyes, take your attention to the center of the forehead, which is also known as the third eye. Just a few more seconds. Good. Now inhale deeply. Hold that breath and squeeze it up to the third eye. And exhale, let it go. And now meditate a second on how you feel, the energy that you feel circulating. And inhale, exhale. And that's it. That's the start of activating Kundalini energy and moving it around. But then that's the breath of fire. And that's what these Kriyas and breaths and stuff do. They allow you to take your energy under your control. And then when you do that, you can then get your mind under your control. So when things in your life are going wonky and wacky, you have the ability to go, you know what? I don't think so. I'm in control here, and I want to do something better. And that's the whole name of the game. And then when that gets stronger and more foundational, then you can really become great. Like all those things that while you're doing those things that you don't want to be doing, or the situations you're in your life which you're kind of like, shit, I want to do this, and you're dreaming about that. This gives you the energy, and it gives you your own rhythm, and you start to get into your own flow with enough practice, and then those things just start to kind of come to you. Like the flow of your soul starts to happen, and then your radiant body gets activated, and then things start to happen. Those miracles start to happen, or those like lucky chance things start to happen because you're broadcasting from a place of your infinity and your soul, instead of trying to think everything out, muscle everything out, and hustle everything. That's one of the things that the technology Kundalini yoga can do for you. Okay, let's stand up, please. We're going to get right into some yoga, and then we'll talk a bunch more, because I like the sound of my own voice. It's not a bad thing. You should get into that too. Yogi Bhajan said your sound is the most powerful thing in the universe. When you can learn to love your own sound, you can control all the other sounds. Think about that. Okay, here we go. We're going to start. We're going to open up the lungs and the heart. Okay, so you're standing up, and you're going to come into Buddhi Mudra, which is B-U-D-D-I, not B-O-T-T-Y. Jenny's the only one laughing at my jokes. She's from California. I'm starting to wonder about you Virginia people. I mean, you're supposed to, pump the teacher up. Just laugh, even if you don't think it's funny. Come on. Thumbs are at the base of the pinky finger. This is known as Mercury. Pinky finger is Mercury, planet Mercury, which is communication. And what you're going to do is you're going to do backward circles at the same time. Just big circles, big backward circles with the arms. And let's see, give you the Kundalini equivalent of some rock and roll to get you started. Big circles, big circles. So this Buddhi Mudra, which is when you're, which I spoke it wrong. It's supposed to be at the tip of the Mercury finger, not the base. That's next. But the tip of the thumb and the pinky finger together. And now make big circles, big circles. Vigorous movement. Big breath, big movement. Open up the lungs and the heart center. So deep breath. Let this just open up that heart center, which I'm going to play you a video shortly, which will show you that the heart center is, Kundalini Yoga opens the heart, the energy, the heart chakra, and when that happens, it's a gateway to those heavenly flows of energy, which are up in the higher chakras. The throat, the third eye, and the crown. And again, remember I said it's all a technology. So what we're working here with is a computerized system, the mind, body, soul, computerized system on a computerized network of energy. And so it's not this kind of mysterious faith trip again. As Yogi Bhajan said, faith is the radiant body. So you activate your radiant body, you're basically on the network, and you can control all the other computers, or you can at least input to all the other computers and then ask for what you want. That's called prayer. You send up the signal and you get it back. It's on the network. Good. Now get into it, get into the rhythm, and go a little bit deeper into it. Giant circles, back over the head. The default in Kundalini Yoga is in the nose and out the nose, but if you can't breathe through the nose, the mouth is fine. But generally, you're breathing through the nose. And we use the mantra in Kundalini Yoga as a default, and it's called Sat Nam. Sat is truth, and that's the underlying truth that there's one energy, one network of energy operating through everybody, everything. And Nam is all the different forms. Nam means name or form identity. So there's one true identity going through all the sub-identities, like you and me, but there's one creator going through all the creation. We get confused thinking that, there's you, there's me, there's separate, there's opposition, but really underneath it all, it's one flow. And that's what we're doing in Kundalini Yoga. We're connecting to that one flow. So that's where we come from. And then we can navigate all the opposites and the other people with joy and with enjoyment. Okay, a little bit more than a minute to go now. Get into it, big time. Somebody, at least one of you is going the wrong way. It's forward, up, and back. Forward, up, and back. Okay, now get into it. Okay, just about 30 more seconds. Good, good. 15 seconds, go for it. Should be warm up and going now. Good, inhale, stretch the arms straight up, stretch for the ceiling. Inhale more, stretch, stretch, stretch. Exhale and relax. Now just stand tall with the eyes closed and breathe long and deep. Down through your feet into the earth like a tree with roots. Root your energy into the ground. The teacher said that your energy doesn't penetrate the earth's magnetic field by 25 feet for you to be truly prosperous. So as you breathe that prana, circulate your energy, push it down into the earth so that you can truly prosper. You can coordinate with the Mother Earth, which is where your manifestations come into play. Good. Now we're going to go much less time. We're going to go the opposite way. Put the hands in fists, the thumbs inside the fists, the thumbs inside the fist, and go the opposite way. We're going forward, back, down, back, and forward. And this is less than half the time, so don't cheat yourself. A little bit more to go. Deepen.
Guru Guru Vaheguru Guru Ramdas Guru 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 Vaheguru Guru Ramdas
30 more seconds.
Guru Guru Vaheguru Guru Ramdas Guru 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 Vaheguru Guru.
And inhale, arms straight, parallel to the ground, and hold. Inhale more, hold. Exhale, relax. And again, stand tall, breathe deep down through the feet, circulate your energy. Okay, we're going to start to take it up a notch here. You're still standing, and you're going to reach the arms up overhead, and then we're going to chant as we hit the ground, and this is how it's going to go. So you're going to bend over, and you should bend over so that you can actually slap the ground with both palms. And we're going to chant. It's hud, 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 and then that's the 7 huds. And then when you come up, you're gonna come up and clap huddy. So we're gonna hit the ground 7 times. Hud, 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 huddy. You're gonna come up, okay? You're gonna make me do it, aren't you? Yeah. I got into this game because the teachers don't do the exercises. Okay, so I saw that. I was like, I just got out of the army, and I'm just like, I don't have to do it. I can just tell people. Okay. All right, so come up like this. Do it with me. And we're doing 7. Let's start again. And keep up. Good. Put your navel into it. Good. We're activating your navel. Keep up. Keep it up. Just a little bit more. Good, good. Get into it with the strong navel. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Hut, hut. Huddy. Hut, 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 hut. Huddy. Hut, 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 hut. Huddy. Good. Keep up. It's your energy. Work with it. Hut, 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 hut. Honey. All right, less than a minute to go. Make it count. Last round. Inhale, stretch up. Inhale, stretch up. And relax. Good job. And take a couple of breaths. Take a couple of breaths. Circulate the energy and breathe. And then make your way sitting down, legs straight out in front of you. It's all right because it's Saturday night. But if I tried this on a Sunday night, you'd be like, what are you doing? You can get away with it on Saturday night. Okay. So now we got to circulate this energy. There's a little bit of navel stuff more that we got to do, but it's not a big deal. Says the guy who's not going to do it. All right, so the legs are straight out in front of you. You're going to lean back and balance on the hands like this. And then you're going to begin a breath of fire. You guys ready to do this? You want to take a minute? We'll keep going or take a minute? I'm hearing these big sighs. Ah! Ooh! Oh, that feels good, but I want to wait for the next exercise. That's cool. What's that? Okay. Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But they're just behind you like this, so you're kind of leaning back on the hands. Okay? Let's do it. We'll get it over with. I'm going to cut the time down anyway, because this is an intro to Kundalini Yoga, not, race for the top. All right, so you're leaning back on the hands like this, and you're going to begin that breath of fire that we talked about. And then you're going to raise and lower the legs. It says 2 minutes. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Go. But just be honest about it. Just do your best. It's fine. I'll tell you a cheat from doing this many years. Just go back on, if you really can't do it, just go back on the elbows, like with the forearms on the ground. There's another thing that, since this is an intro to Kundalini Yoga, that's really great about Kundalini Yoga is that you modify whatever you need. If you can't do it perfectly, that's fine. We're about getting energy here. So however you need to modify, but you always try to do your best because you're after more energy. Okay, just a little bit more. 30 more seconds. All the way up and down, Jenny. All the way up and down. All right, 10 more seconds. Some of you guys have a sense of time. You're like, what's this guy's mad? What's with this guy's mad? And inhale, exhale, and relax down. Now, there was, when I took my teacher training in Los Angeles, there's this one famous teacher who shall remain nameless. But when she would say 30 seconds, I knew I could go to the Burbank airport and pick up a friend. But we like to be honest, because then there's trust, trying to build trust here. Okay, we're almost done. It's just a little bit more. Okay, so now this time you're still going to be leaning back on the hands like that. And this time the legs are going to come up and you're going to do the breath of fire and crisscross the legs. I see how nobody's rushing to do it. No, I'll give you a break. So we bend over. Kundalini yoga, what we're doing right now is called a Kriya. Kriya means complete action. So these sages, these masters who put these things together, they could kind of see into the sacred geometry of the universe. And they know how this body works with the glandular system, the electromagnetic system. And they go, okay, if you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you activate the energy here in the navel, then you circulate it, and then it comes up, it opens the heart center, blah, blah, blah. Each Kriya has a different effect. Again, scientific, why I love this stuff. So these things, and it's also that other scientific concept, which is the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So we do these little pieces of the Kriya, and it has this synergistic effect, and you basically multiply yourself, you multiply your energy field. We work with sound current, like with the chanting, and the breath, which has the prana, subatomic energy, and then we put it through the body, through these different movements, and it's all big multiplication, and that's how you bring infinity into this finite container. That's what Kundalini yoga is. So that's so what we're doing here. These last two things, up and down with the legs, and then crisscross. It's not just because I'm a macho ex-army guy who wants to put you through it. We're taking that heart energy from the navel, and we're circulating it throughout the body. Now, when the navel is strong, this is important. When the navel point is strong, fear gets pushed out. So fear is pushed out when you have a strong navel, a strong gut. There's about as many neurons in this gut area as there are in the brain of a small animal like a dog or a cat. It's called the second brain. And then there's the vagus nerve, the central vagus nerve, VA, not Vegas like Viva Las Vegas. But it's kind of that kind of party when you get those two coordinated. But there's a vagus nerve here that coordinates the neurons in the gut and in the brain. And that's where my gut reaction comes from, where your intuition can be here in the navel point, so you can kind of, this third chakra, which has the frequency of this willpower, which is these lower three chakras on the earth, can give you signals so that your intuition can work on firing on all cylinders. Make sense? So that's why we strengthen this area, we move that energy around. And so when your navel is strong, you're decisive, you're not wishy-washy. The fear has no place in there because you have this strength and confidence that comes. That's with the gut. That's why I say this guy has guts, because it's that we're talking about the energy of that area. Okay, did I waste enough time to give you a break? All right. So you're leaning back on the hands again. The legs come up and breath of fire again, crisscross. And I didn't even want to hear any lip from you guys. I cut a whole minute off that. It was 2 minutes. I cut it in half. All right. Hope if I start the clock, though. All right, go for it now. Try to synchronize the breath with the motion of the legs. Okay, just about 20 more seconds. Concentrate, concentrate. And inhale, exhale, and come down. Good job. All right, now shake the legs out, and then we're going to come into a cross-legged position. Okay. Now, here we go. The arms like this, sit in a cross-legged position, arms out like this, palms face down. And you're going to be crisscross the arms with the breath of fire. Powerful breath of fire. It's just 1 minute. Now. Inhale straight, parallel. Exhale, relax. Okay, now you're going to come into baby pose. So sit on the heels, bring your forehead to the ground. Palms are beside the body, face up. Now concentrate at your third eye, projecting that forehead area into the earth, and do a breath of fire. So forehead on the ground, forehead is on the ground. And the hands are beside your body, pointing, fingers pointing to the back of the room. And go. Strong breath of fire. Inhale. Exhale. Now stay in the baby pose, please. And now reach the arms behind your back and interlace the fingers behind your back. And then you're going to do the breath of fire again, and you're going to raise the arms up and down into yoga mudra and back down. So breath of fire, and raise the arms high as you can, up and down. Basically cleaning out the lungs and magnetic field area, charging the magnetic field of the lungs. And by the way, this is the last physical exercise. So concentrate. Inhale deep, raise the arms up as high as they'll go. Inhale, inhale more, raise the arms up. Exhale, relax. Please come up out of the posture and sit into a cross-legged position. Okay, now we're going to meditate. So sit in a meditative posture, an easy pose. Become very meditative. Watch the breath. Straight spine. Just for a little bit of time here. I'm going to meditate. Elevate your thoughts to the infinite. Elevate your thoughts to the limitless, to your vastness. And open your heart and send out your best personal prayer for empowerment, healing, and awareness. Put your head, your heart, and your soul into it. Lie on your back just for a few minutes. And take a short nap while we're going to play the gong. And just let yourself completely relax and drop everything. Stretch the abdomen, wrap the hands and the feet together. Pull the knees into the chest and rock on the spine. And come sitting up into easy pose. Okay. How are we doing? Feel a little different than when you walked in? So this is the idea. Kundalini Yoga, extremely powerful, very fast technology for your apparatus here on the earth. Everybody's got a soul, infinity, but we're in this body having experiences on the earth, and it's finite. There's limits. But the cool thing is that with this technology, you can become limitless. And that's the realm of the masters. Those that have mastered this, they could be in this body and completely connected at the same time. Which is what, like Joseph Campbell says, grounded in the infinity but moving in the field of time. So that's possible, or any amount of that, of chain is possible. So, and Kundalini Yoga is the technology that can get you there. It's just like, you get more and more of the infinite part of you operating for your enjoyment in this finite form. Thank you very much, good night. That's it, that's a big summary of what's going on. Now, Kundalini is a funny word, isn't it? All this stuff is kind of funny. I remember, I'm like, first of all, I'm the most unlikely guy to be doing this, to look like this, to be practicing, let alone teaching Kundalini Yoga. I landed in the Bronx in the late 60s and grew up in the Bronx and Queens, very conservative parents. And Dad was a homicide detective, New York City cop. My mom's a nurse. And then I went to West Point. I was an Army officer for 5 years. I'm not the guy that comes and does this. But it is stuff, I found it, and it worked so well that I thought, wow, there's really something to this. And so when I first started out, I thought, oh, this chanting, oh, that's just some kind of cool ritualistic thing. Or the folded hands and all of that, or the words Kundalini, or the mantras and that kind of stuff. Well, it's just this stuff from the East. But all of it has a very good explanation. And Kundalini what it describes is that kundal is like coil, means coil of the beloved. So Kundalini is your potential energy of the soul, that infinite stuff we talked about. It's at the base of the spine. It's an actual thing. But you see, when we land here, there's like all this old, like the last 2,500 years, religion was the only way we could access this stuff, right? Because this practice was secret. You had to go find a master up in the Himalayas and beg him to teach you this stuff. Because that was a different time, right? The Piscean age, they called it. And that was last 2,500 years. And that's why religion was kind of the way, because there wasn't a lot of information. Now we live in the information age, right? And so everything is out there. And that's why Kundalini is out there now, because it's a different time. Now we live in a time when there's so much information. You have to be a master of this computer in order to process it all. And that's why we see people getting so depressed. And Yogi Bhajan predicted it. He called it cold depression, where you're doing all kinds of stuff, but you feel melancholy and depressed anyway. And that's because there's so much input and so much information. You're chasing the information and you're spinning your wheels like a car in the sand. And so you're moving and it just doesn't make any sense why you should be depressed. That's called cold depression. So these are the kinds of things that are happening because of this information age. And we know that we have to have a way to process it all. And this Kundalini energy is basically the light of your soul. It exists here at the base of the spine. I like to call it your superhero powers, right? And you activate it with the breath and with these certain locks that we do. And like there's obviously too much to cover the whole thing tonight. I'm just trying to give you a primer. And this Kundalini energy, the infinite part of you, is at the base of the spine. And when you take a conscious breath and you squeeze those locks, it gets activated. So there's this pranic force, and that prana is like this life force energy. It's like a positive charge. And then within the body, you have other forms of prana, and one of them is apana, which is the opposite of the prana. It's a eliminative force in the body. So those two together, the prana and the apana, come together and at this navel point, and when you squeeze that, you take a deep breath in, and we do all of these movements and stuff. That activates that Kundalini energy. And these kriyas that we do, we activate it, we move it around, and then we kind of bring it down at the end. So, as it's super high voltage energy, right? So, this is the Aquarian age now, and these things are all kind of out in the open. And that's why we have Kundalini and that kind of stuff. In the past, like I was saying before, this past kind of 2,500 years or more was where there was a lack of information, this Piscean age, where you had to kind of take things on faith. And that was the purpose of religions in that time. And there's still a lot of great stuff in religion. It's just that it's very metaphorical and it's just kind of symbolic. So you have to kind of educate yourself on the symbols of religion to go in and navigate that. Whereas now, it's very quickly you can just learn this technology of how to take a deep breath, chant some mantra, move your body in a certain way, raise this infinite energy in you, circulate it, and have an experience of God, this creative force, which is just the energy, right? But we had to talk about it in different terms in the past because we didn't have all this information. So religion's not necessarily good or bad, although I will say that there's been a lot of corruption in it because absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So people who had these secrets and they had that power, they kind of, in some of the, religious texts and things like that, things have changed a little bit so that, instead of kind of liberating you, it would kind of keep you down. The one that comes to mind is that, and the meek shall inherit the earth. Meek is way different than the word humble, right? Humility is way different than meekness. Meek, what is meek? Is fearful and cowering, right? Humble is, you're so connected to the whole thing that you're like, wow. And you're humbled by the greatness of you and that you're connected to. That's humility. So, but that's what that comes from. That's an example of how you could just kind of change something really easily and turn it upside down. So there's some of those things in religion, but I think Kundalini Yoga gives you the experience, the real-time experience of everything that those kind of old religious things promised after you die and all that kind of stuff, right? So, and I found, because I was raised Christian and all that in different forms, I found that I enjoyed all the religious symbolism and stuff way more after Kundalini Yoga because I go, oh, wow, that's what they're talking about, because I had experience of it. And once you have experience, that's where the wisdom is at, because you have an experience, So Kundalini Yoga activates this Kundalini force, which is basically the light of your soul, and it's your infinite power potential, and it's actually right there at the base of your spine, right? Because remember when we started this, people talk about the soul and talk about God, And we're so used to thinking that's outside of us somewhere. We got to wait for it, or we have to go beg somebody to, like, you know, give it to us. There's no finding God or any of that stuff. It's all right here, right now, in this moment, this massive energy in you, and you're breathing, and as soon as you kind of consciously pay attention to the breath and follow that back up, you're at the source of things. And it's all yours, right? It's all you. And that's basically what that Kundalini energy is. So, if you guys indulge me, I wanted to show you a little video, but I didn't have time to get any kind of a projector set up. So, if you want to come up here and look at my computer screen, I just want to show you this. I'll turn my computer around, so just kind of gather around for a moment. I know you're comfortable there, but indulge me for a second. And this is it's a little video that I put together like many years ago, and it's a clip from a movie called Thrive, and it's this guy Greg Braden talking about energy and how energy actually flows, how we communicate energy to one another, and how we communicate energy to the environment and the universe through this body of ours, through the heart and mind. And yeah, we'll just watch it and we'll riff off of it a little bit. So hopefully everybody can see it okay. I'm sorry, what? The movie's called Thrive. It was made by this guy, one of the son of the Procter and Gamble family. Like his name is Gamble or something like that. So his premise of the movie is we're connected to infinity. Everybody tells us all this good stuff, law of manifestation, all that. So why isn't humanity thriving? Why is there so much suffering and crap on the planet if all that stuff is true? And he goes through in the movie and talks about energy and all that stuff. So this is.
Now we've been considering a single torus here. One of the wonderful things about a torus is that it's open at the center. And being open at the center, it can connect with the entire universe. And that means another torus can be right here beside it. And center to center, there is no problem, torus to torus, to connect. So, you and I, center to center, very distinct, different beings, but center to center, through consciousness, we intimately can connect. And that's the same, we can connect with the entire universe.
The human heart is now documented as the strongest generator of both electrical and magnetic fields in the body. Now, this is important because we've always been taught that the brain is where the action is. The brain has an electrical field, it does have a magnetic field, but they're relatively weak compared to the heart. The heart is about 100 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger, 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. And the reason this is important is because the physical world as we know it is made of those two fields of energy, electrical and magnetic fields of energy, electromagnetic fields. Our own physics books now tell us if we can change either the magnetic field of an atom or the electrical field of the atom, by doing that we literally change that atom, we change the stuff that our bodies in this world are made of.
That's how you create your reality. That's whatever the strongest signal that's coming out. That's what you're gonna change the structure of the atom, and boom, this thing shows up. It just happens so fast. We hear these stories that these great masters can change something into water or this or that. That's the same thing. It's just they're so connected. They have it that quickly can do it. So why can't we do that? One word: subconscious mind. Between you and that infinite flow is this vast thing called the subconscious mind. That's where you go when you dream at night. And you want to talk about a primer for Kundalini Yoga? That's the number one thing that we're doing here, is clearing the subconscious mind through all this different energetic work. And we clear it through these meditations. It clears out the subconscious mind. So more and more and more that power to change that energy, use your energy to change what's going on around you, and exist in a flow of what you want to experience can happen.
And it appears now that the human heart is designed to do both, to change both the electrical field and the magnetic field of our bodies and our world, and they do so in response to the emotions that we create between our heart and our brain.
That's the appropriate description even for the atmosphere of our planet. The weather goes from the North Pole down to the equator and then back up, from the South Pole up to the equator and then back down. Even the dynamics on the surface of the sun are very similar. Of course, here we're looking at it from an external perspective on a small scale model.
So you see, I have a body, a mind, soul, everything. In this container, my energy moves in like a torus. So does the sun, so does the earth, so does the whole universe, as he's just about to say. So it's all interlocking fields, like it's all one, right? But it's all one right in here. So if I can make the unity happen, then I can change the atom, I can change my environment, I can change you, I can change me, I can change anything. Because if I can, and you notice what he says, it's empty at the center, right? In Kundalini Yoga, what we try to do is we try to create this meditative state called shunya, which is zero. So you should be able to zero out your mind, to stop the thoughts, so that that energy can just flow through you. And then we talk about this all the time. We'll talk about it in the teacher training that's coming up next month. But is that once, if I can get into that shunya state, then something really beautiful happens. It's just sort of, you become kind of one, and then things just happen for you. It's this amazing flow. And in fact, Yogi Bhajan wrote a poem about it. When you shall become soft like wax, and my thread of life will come through you. That guru force comes through you. And then you kind of, you know things before they're about to happen. You can read people's thoughts. I mean, these aren't just parlor tricks I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that this is what's possible when you get into that this whole, the whole universe starts to kind of flow through you. And they're rare, but we see beings like that have that kind of, that they have that kind of radiance and knowing, and the good ones are using it to heal each other, heal the planet, and heal people with it. Does that make sense? So that's what we do, some Kundalini Yoga Prima. Kundalini Yoga gets you to a place where you can control your mind, you can control this mind-body system to the point where, at will, you can create a meditative state, and then you can have this, your antennas can go up, and like you saw these energy fields communicating like that, you can communicate and relay with your environment and improve those relationships, and you can relay with the whole universe and have a really rich, enjoyable experience of the whole energy. That's the name of the game.
When you look at the solar system, embedded in the galaxy, embedded in the cluster, embedded in the supercluster, we're traveling in this boundless sea of infinite torus flow.
So this diagram is showing how this is your aura, and you bring that Kundalini energy up through the chakras, and your aura expands, raises the frequency. And there's a lot of different ways that we go out at this teaching. And Yogi Bhajan came at it from so many different ways with this 8,000 plus classes and lectures that he gave. One of them is neuron voltage. There's a whole series he gave on neuron voltage. Because the neurons in the brain, which there's like billions and billions of layers of neurons, when the voltage of the neurons is very high at a certain, he said it was like 3.5. Some of the stuff that he gave, we don't even know. Like it's not even out yet, right? Because he's kind of recovering this ancient knowledge. But he said when the neuron voltage is at a certain speed, that's when you're kind of open and you're in that state where your computer can kind of communicate and relay with the whole master computer to such a point it's like a supercomputer, and then you can kind of compute everything, right? That's how these masters who have these kind of powers, because their neuron voltage is so high. And then as it goes down, then like there's the more kind of decreasing. He said when you gets down below like 0.5, and 1 and 0.5 and 1.5, that's in the kind of depression range and that kind of thing. But that's another aspect of this, that the Kundalini comes up when we raise the neuron voltage. We raise the frequency of this whole computer, You know, like you buy a computer, it's 2.5, 3 gigahertz, it's operating speed. That's basically what this is. So Kundalini Yoga is a way to overclock this computer and up the speed. So this is, we'll stop here because this is just a kind of an intro. And we're going to go way in depth in this teacher training we're coming up with. It's really a self-mastery course. It's like a deep dive into Kundalini Yoga. That's scheduled to start next month. If any of you are interested, let me know and I'll tell you about it. But this is just kind of basic idea of how your energy works. And Kundalini Yoga is a technology that allows you to work with this energy and master it, basically. Okay. There's one more video I want to show you, but I should probably, I don't know if, yeah, okay, I'm going to set it up and then we're going to do it. Recently, this woman, she said to me, she goes, I have this problem. She goes, I just, everything's going on in the world right now. I see this stuff with the president and these hearings with Kavanaugh. And I could just get I get depressed. I get anxious. I get all upset because I'm watching this stuff. And you know, if he gets what do you call it? Approved? What do they call it? What's that? Appointed. Yeah, if he gets appointed, what's going to happen? They're going to repeal the Constitution and all this. And she was very, very upset. Because what do I do? So I said to her, you know, I saw a video recently. I just happened to be on YouTube bouncing around, and I came across this video of Robin Williams in 1991 on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And in 1991, it was when Clarence Thomas was going through the same thing. And I took 1 minute out of that. He talks about a whole bunch of other stuff. I took out the stuff about right to life and everything, because you never know who's going to be which way. But it was funny what he said. But I want to show you this clip of Robin Williams talking about it. And I think that when he says Clarence Thomas, you could put in Brett Kavanaugh, and it's the same thing. So what does that mean? It's what I told this lady. I said, 27 years ago was the same program coming out over the airwaves. They were saying the same stuff. Now, what do we know, right? You control your mind, you control the whole universe. We just saw it, right? With this, if I control my mind, like I'm in a meditative state, I control the universe. If my mind's divided, what happens? I fall apart. And whether it's happening by design and it's a big conspiracy, or it's just happening because the world's got that going on right now, doesn't matter. But the major broadcast going on in the world is designed, whether it's by accident or on purpose, it's on purpose. But whether it's accident or on purpose, it's designed to divide and conquer your mind. A lot of money in that, okay? It's designed to divide. Happy people are not good for business. Check out the pharmaceutical industry, people, right? So it's designed to divide and conquer your mind. And now, let me just show you this. I'm excited about this, because when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, I know this stuff, but I'm like, this is living proof. Here's Robin Williams, and it's great because the delivery, right? This is Robin Williams. Let me get you set up here. So this is Robin Williams basically saying the same thing. You just changed the names.
How you doing? It's always good.
I'm good. I've been watching the Supreme Court hearings. It's a little amazing. Mr. Thomas, your opinion of Roe versus Wade? I'd prefer to float. Okay, come on now. Look, give us an opinion. Tell us something. They bring in all sorts of witnesses. He was a good boy. It's amazing they can't get real answers out of him. I mean, how do they get people? They have people who have no legal opinions, no written opinions. They basically, 4 short weeks ago, I was driving truck. Now I'm sitting on the highest court in the land. Thanks to the George Bush Home Study Course, you two can be a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, but you see what happens. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You see, the trick is to get confirmed is not to answer questions.
Yeah, they should just make it a talent show. They should make it like, you know, I'd like to start off with saying something. Rulings. Nothing more than rulings. You know, and now for the swimsuit competition. How do they wear a robe? Fabulous. Mr. Rehnquist, take the hood off the robe. Great. Okay.
So, I mean, it's the same thing going on 27 years later, right? So that's what I told this lady. I said, look, this, you just can't take it that seriously. You have to look at this, and once you know that it's a kind of a fight for your mind, you just look at it as entertainment, and just disengage from it. You don't take the bait, right? Because it's basically a bait and hook situation. And Yogi would say that some people ask, is Kundalini Yoga dangerous? He said, yeah, Kundalini Yoga is dangerous because anybody who does Kundalini Yoga, their mind can't be controlled. Because look at that Taurus situation, right? Where you're connected to the whole thing all the way up, and your intuition tells you if something's BS or not. You won't take the bait and get kind of pulled in. So in this situation, like if you're getting anxious about what's going on in the world out there, you got to recognize that the world didn't end back with these hearings for Clarence Thomas. It's not going to end with Brett Kavanaugh. It's all a big game, and you're connected to infinity, and you can have an infinite amount of enjoyment right here and right now. It's like, and I love this from Joseph Campbell. He goes, hey, the world's a mess. It's always been a mess. It's going to be a mess for a long time. Your job is to figure out some way to enjoy it. It's like, or as he says, participate with joy in the sorrows of the world, right? It's a dual world. There's up, there's down, there's right, there's left. You can choose to enjoy what's going on, even if it's the worst thing that ever happened to you, or you can choose to fall apart. But what happens is this, like Wayne Dyer says, he goes, no amount of my feeling bad is going to help the world. No amount of me getting sad and upset and anxious about what's happening with the Supreme Court hearings is going to help anything. Best, because remember, right? The torus, it's empty at the center, and that's how I communicate all the way up the supercluster out to the universe, back down into the environment. It's all one kind of energy. And what happens if I get happy and I enjoy my life and I stop taking that bait and all that bullshit and stop getting anxious, and instead I feed onto the network joy, happiness, enjoyment. And then what happens, which is why we're creating teachers in Kundalini Yoga, because then they, one candle lights another candle lights another candle, and more people are now sending up the signal, hey, that's a freaking laugh, isn't it? What a bunch of horse shit. Let's go love each other and have a good time. Let's take care of, let's help each other out so that you do better, I do better, and let's all, not this kumbaya bullshit, but real, like, I'm gonna help you and you're gonna help me and we're gonna get further in this world. And that's what it's about. And so that's what I told her. I said, listen, just what you feed onto the network is what the network gets and what sends you back. So, and it's natural to take the bait and get anxious and all that stuff. But I said, what you need is more energy. And she happens to, teach a different form of meditation, pranayama. So she goes, well, I got it. Because she works with crisis people and stuff like that. So she's not really like a yoga teacher, but she works with crisis people. And so she goes, well, maybe I should practice what I'm telling them. I said, that's exactly it. You should get up in the morning and just do 5-10 minutes of this, the breath stuff. Or whenever you're feeling like that, when you get anxious about this stuff, you should just start Satnam, Satnam, Satnam. Or just, take your mind back. Or this is the one I want to share with you. My mom, she's like 71 now, just had open heart surgery last year, and she's like out in New Mexico living with her sister, having a great time. It's all party time now. But she went to some doctor, and this doctor, was kind of nasty to her. And she was like, oh, okay, you're the doctor. So I said, go to this chiropractor, get adjusted, blah, blah, blah. This guy was super nice to her. She's like, oh my God, like night and day. That guy he was an asshole. That doctor, and then she starts going on. I go, Mom, drop it. We know the guy's an asshole. That should be done right there. That's it. And then my Aunt Rosie sitting next to her. There's two old ladies living together. She goes, I told her, don't rent space in your mind. Don't rent space in your mind. And I said, that's exactly right. But with the Supreme Court hearings and all this stuff that's coming over the airwaves, it's worse. You're not renting space in your mind. You're giving it away. You're giving away space in your mind if you're going around repeating this kind of stuff. I mean, it's perfectly fine to discuss it if you know what's going on and you're doing it as enjoyment. But as soon as you start getting pulled down with it, that's a different thing. So I said, just stop carrying that doctor around. Or this, I can't help it. I got to tell you this story. There's this old Tibetan Rinpoche. He's walking with his new disciples, a young guy, about 18, and they had to go do something. So they're walking through the forest, and they come to this riverfront, and on the riverfront is this most beautiful girl. She's a princess, just absolutely. You know, when just that radiance, it's just like that rare being that's so beautiful. And so the old Rinpoche says to her, "Oh, are you trying to cross the river? Do you need some help?" She said, "Yes." So he goes, "I'll carry you across." She said, "Oh, that would be great." So she picks her up and he carries her across. Meanwhile, the young guy's like, eyes are like this. She's thinking, we're celibate, we're monks. And she's touching this beautiful woman. This is crazy. Oh my God, what's going on? My whole world's upside down. So they go across. And Rinpoche puts the girl down and they say their goodbyes and thank you and all that. And they're walking through the woods, 1 mile, 2 miles. The whole time, this young monk is absolutely agitated and he's fidgeting because it's just driving him crazy. How could the Rinpoche pick up that beautiful girl like that? It's against the rules. So finally, he can't help himself anymore. He turns to the old monk and he goes, "Rinpoche, I just have to ask you, you carried that girl across the river. It's against everything. We're celibate. We don't touch women." Rinpoche goes, "Yes, I carried her across the river. You've been carrying her for 3 miles." So that's it. It's you got to do something in your life. You do it, you drop it, next, and that's it. So, this is what we're working with Kundalini Yoga. It's the technology of the mind-body system so that you can kind of control the mind, dump the subconscious stuff that magnetically pulls you into your habits and the things that you don't like to do. And then you get a kind of a semblance of enjoyment because you're connecting on a daily basis. And it's just super simple. You're connecting to your infinity, you're pulling it down into this body, and you have an experience of it on the earth. And what's great is that once you get in the habit of that and you start getting expansive enough, then we start giving it away, right? You start, and it's even better. Yogi Bhajan said this is why he said, "I came here to create teachers, not just gather a bunch of disciples." Because a teacher, he says, their presence will just work. Just like you saw these energy fields, right? So I practice Kundalini Yoga. I start practicing it for a few years. I do these meditations. I go to the solstices and there's places where there's big downloads. I start to carry that. It's just in my aura. I walk into a room and I'm on the network, right? You can go get a file off of somebody else's computer on the network because it's open. So I have this stuff on my computer. I come in and then everybody else can get it who's on the network, right? And that's how it works. So your presence starts to work. So it's not only with you start to clear out. You have a better life. You're enjoying it. But then everybody that's around you just gets uplifted. And that's what Kundalini Yoga is about. So we have 1 hour left, and we're going to do some meditation and relaxation on it. But before I do that, because this is a primer for Kundalini Yoga and it's all intro, I'm going to open it up for some questions if you have any questions. And I'm only going to answer the ones I know the answers to. I stole that from my teacher. He says that all the time. No? Anybody questions? I don't put you on the spot or anything. I don't stress anybody out. We're in the opposite business. Okay, that's...
I have a quick question.
Okay, yeah.
Breath of fire, does that, because when you said if you're feeling stressed out or anxious and you use breath of fire, can that raise cortisol? Like if you're breathing quickly?
Raise cortisol meaning make you more
You know how if you
stressed
do
out?
slow breathing, it calms you, but if you do fast breathing, can that stress you out or not?
No, breath of fire is not hyperventilating.
Okay.
Breath of fire it's actually considered one breath, even though it's kind of an illusion. So we're going, it looks like I'm hyperventilating, but Yogi Bhajan's taught that, he goes, it's because there's no pause between the inhale and the exhale. What I'm doing is I'm kind of like flipping the duality into just one breath. That makes sense? So instead of it being a dual thing, I'm not pausing, and then I'm increasing my neuron speed. I'm charging the blood with oxygen, and so the thing about it is this fears and panic and all that kind of stuff. When you get into like a panic attack or when you get into a fearful situation, the first thing that happens is the breath goes shallow because I'm so focused on this thought form of whatever the fear is, that immediately cuts my energy, by a third. So as soon as you engage a fearful or a doubtful thought, the energy just drops like a third. So your energy is lower. When you start doing breath of fire in a situation where you're in a panic or a fear, you're raising the neuron voltage, and you're raising the energy, and you're becoming expansive. And that, remember, like we talked about the navel, when you move in the navel like that, the fear just can't exist there. I answered it? Says, yeah.
So if you're, because I sometimes have panic attacks. So if you're in the middle of like an anxiety panic attack, is it better to do the breath of fire or the deep breaths, or?
Any breathing will help a panic attack. Because what a panic attack is that you've engaged a thought form, and it's thrown up a whole bunch of other thought forms from the subconscious. And it's panic, right? So it's a fearful structure. And again, what we said is fear causes a drop in the energy field by a third. So what's happened is you've engaged these thoughts, it's become magnetic, and you get stuck in that place in the mind, and the energy drops, and the breath just leaves you almost. So that's what the panic does. So the easiest way to counter a panic attack is breath, any kind, deep, and a lot. So just like, and there's like thousands of pranayams, which like we teach them all the time. In fact, we're going to do one. We're going to do one in like a minute or so when we go back to our mats. But there's all these different pranayams, and you can learn a few of them. We tell people to do breath of fire because it's just easy and super easy, and you know it. So if you ever find yourself in a panic attack situation, just start doing a strong breath of fire, like, and focus on bringing your energy up, like focus on the third eye or even the top of the head, and literally pull the energy up. And this is something I was working with in my classes last couple of weeks, because I heard this lecture actually that I had given in a morning class. And it was after the teacher training, and this lady, Tejkar, who is one of the most amazing teachers on the planet today. She was with Yogi Bhajan for a long time, but she just happens to have a tremendous amount of power, and she's just a great teacher. And I was in the teacher training, and she goes, you have to pull the duality up. And I thought, boy, that's such an interesting way to say it, isn't it? She said, pull the duality up. Because the duality is the world we're living in, the up, down. This is how I'm in the world, I'm negotiating everything. It's back and forth, it's opposites, right? But when you go to the third eye, it's the ones. You have two eyes, and above that you have one eye, which basically it takes you to the unity. The one eye is what you can see, that one flow, the one creative flow, the one thing that's in everything, right? So if I'm having a hard time and I'm in a panic attack, if I stop everything and I go, and I focus on my third eye with everything that I got, I can literally pull the whole thing up. And so then I start pulling that whole duality thing up. And Yogi doesn't talk about this thing called the law of the vacuum. And he said, on this planet, the vacuum can't exist because of the opposites, right? In space, it's a vacuum, but on the planet, it's not a vacuum. That makes sense? So, but when you do Kundalini Yoga, the Kundalini comes up, you raise the energy, you raise the frequency energy, it creates a vacuum. And because a vacuum's not supposed to exist, it gets filled with more energy. Whereas he said it, he goes, it gets filled with duality, right? More duality, but now the duality is pushing you up and supporting you. Does it make sense? So like when hot air rises, the cold air comes in underneath, right? The hot air goes up. It's the same, that's a phenomenon of the energy. So when I raise my energy, I deliberately, consciously pull it up. Everything that's going on in the world around me has got to come up, comes underneath like the cold air. And now it's propping me up instead of me getting pulled down by the gravity. It's a strange concept, but it's true, and we know it. So you can pull the duality up, as Tej said. You can pull the duality up. And that's what you want to do and if you're having any kind of problems. And that's what this whole Kundalini practice is about, is the ability to go in there, have these tools, and then go in there and knock it out when it happens. Anybody else? Okay, so we'll do this. We're going to do a couple more things which are really enjoyable. The first one we can do is this. It's a really cool pranayama meditation. So you're moving the hands like this, and you're taking 8 strokes in and out the mouth. And it's some of these things that Yogi Bhajan are very interesting. He said that this counteracts the effects of smog, because he gave it in Los Angeles in like January of whatever year, and there was like all this smog, and that smog gets in your lungs and stuff. But he goes, but if you do this on a regular basis, it'll give you a photographic memory. And that's just so interesting. But it cleans out the brain, and it cleans out the bottom of the lungs where this stuff gets. So that, when you've got the prana and you've got the brain power, then you can have the photographic memory. So this is so that's what's so fascinating about all this. There's so many of these kriyas. Like maybe we'll do this other one too. It's just 3 minutes, but it's this one. It's going like this, and you're breathing through the round mouth. And he said that it adjusts your spine. It prevents heart attacks. It improves your digestion, and it gets rid of anger. And it's just 3 minutes of just moving your arms in a circle like this, and that's what all of those things do. But that's the power of this Kundalini Yoga, because there's a kriya which is basically a form, a sacred geometric form, where I'm moving this, I'm doing the breath, and there's so much, we're dealing with a field of infinite energy. And so in 3 minutes, I can pull into this form something that'll do all those things. And that's what I find so cool about, that's one of the many things I find so cool about Kundalini Yoga. Okay, let's do more. I mean, we got to show Robin Williams. What more do we need in this class, right? So, but just as a matter of course, we'll do some more breath and all this other business, and then be done with it. Okay. So, give me a second here, and we'll get started. Before we do this, does anybody need a quick break, a bathroom break at all? Yes? No? Hopefully not, so we can just keep going. But let's put it this way. If you need to go to the bathroom, go ahead and go. Yeah, there's a couple back here also, if you need to go. Okay. Today's a very auspicious day to practice, by the way, because it's what they call Yogi Bhajan's Remembrance Day. 14 years ago on this day, Yogi Bhajan left his body. And the thing about saints is on their birthdays and on the days they left the planet, it's very auspicious days because, and they say for example, on the birthday of a saint, all prayers are answered. And that's because you have a high frequency human being takes a body and lands on the planet, and they make an impact on a lot of different energy fields, a lot of different people, and so they're remembered. And so when you have a great master like that, and then they leave their body, when you remember them, which happens like on their birthday, and then also on their death day when they left the planet, people around the world are all focusing their mental energy, and on this in this network, that energy is being focused on that one being that we're remembering. So that on that day, there's a lot of energy available. So if you have a prayer and you can concentrate, you send it up, it can ride that energy and be manifested that much easier. So we're very lucky, and it's a very auspicious day to be doing this kind of intro to Kundalini Yoga, because people around the world are celebrating his life. And when we chant that Om Namo Gurudev Namo, it connects us to what's called the golden chain. And the golden chain is this kind of energy flow of the masters. And whether they're in the body or not, it's an energy flow of the subtle body. So we're in that now, which is very good news. Okay, so come sitting into easy pose and just close your eyes and concentrate on the breath again. Connect again with that pranic force. Inhale and exhale. Okay, so now to do this meditation breath exercise that will give you a photographic memory. You take the hands and they come up here like this, right, kind of under the chin area. And the hands aren't synchronized with the breath, right? You're just going to move them really fast like this. And then you're going to do 8 strokes in through the mouth and 8 strokes out through the rounded mouth. It's an O breath. So it looks like this. Go ahead and begin. The eyes will close automatically just as a result of this, but very fast the hands will move. Let the hands be right under the chin. The fingers be straight up and stiff. Fingers should point towards the ceiling. Let those 8 strokes make a full breath. So don't be so fast that you miss the whole breath. So you should be at the top of the breath on that 8th stroke and then all of it out. Full strokes to make up a full breath. Full 8 strokes. This is getting all the dead elements out of your lungs. Physical poisons will leave your body now. Yogi Bhajan said that this will change the ions of the red blood cells, change the ions of the red blood cells, and give a good proportion to the white blood cells, which take the garbage out of you. And he said that this, if you have a terminal disease, like if you had cancer or something like that, this could cure you. So he said it could save you from terminal diseases. It's a little different. It means both. It can save you from getting a terminal disease. It could save you if you have a terminal disease. Good. Go into your rhythm. Inhale. Deep, deep, deep inhale. Stop the hands. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale. And stretch your legs out for a moment, just stretch your legs. So that's the power of pranayama. Pranayama is breath exercise like that, where we work with the breath in a measured way. We're using a hand mudra as well as measuring the breath, certain segments like that, to create an energetic effect. Okay, so we're going to do another meditation here. And we're going to do this. We're doing this meditation with that mantra that we tuned in with, Om Namo Gurudev Namo. It's a very simple meditation. It's really mellow. Some of you have been to my classes and we do these involved sort of meditations. But not like that tonight. We're back to basics here. And this is, Yogi Bhajan gave this, he said this, to develop the essence of caliber. So we talk about all this infinity and bringing it into the finite. We, as human beings, we want to have caliber. And it's just like the caliber of a gun, a weapon, right? Rifle, handgun, whatever. The bigger the caliber, the more impact it can make when you fire it. So it's that kind of way with human beings. Like when I make a sound, I say something to you, I want to have enough caliber that what I send over to you has positive impact. And we can develop our caliber through these meditations, clearing out the subconscious and then bringing the energy in. It gives us a greater caliber. And that's the caliber of a human being. A human being of caliber, we respect that person. They act a certain way that's respectable. And that's because they're generally on the beam of their soul. So that's what this meditation will do for you. It gives you the essence of caliber. Okay, so we're going to chant along with this beautiful version, Om Namo Gurudev Namo. I only have, the version I have stops after a certain amount of time. And so we want to keep going. So it might be a little like where it starts again, but just be aware of that. Okay? Because we're not going to go for the full time, we're going to go for longer than the recording, put it that way. So the hands come into prayer position like this, just like we started, right in front of the chest. Eyes are closed, and you're just going to sing along with this mantra. Let's chant along. Om Namo Gurudev Namo.
Gurudev Namo. Gurudev Namo. Om Namo 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 Gurudev Namo. Om
Inhale, hold the breath. Hold the breath, deeply hold. Meditate on your essence and caliber. Steady hold. Exhale. Inhale again very deeply. Just hold. Meditate on your essence of caliber. Exhale. And the last time, inhale deep. Hold. Steady. Exhale. And lie down on your back, completely and deeply relaxed.
आखण जोर चुपै ने जोर जोर न मंगन देन न जोर न जीवन मरण न जोर न राजमाल मनसोर जोर न सुरती ज्ञान विचार जोर न जुगती छुटै संसार जिस हथ जोर कर वेखै सोए नानक उत्तम नीच न कोय रात
yourself up. Stretch the arms overhead, like the toes, stretch the whole body, lengthen. Rub the hands and the feet together, palms of the hands and the soles of the feet together. Pull your left knee into your chest and drop it over the body. Then twist your head and arm opposite way, cat stretch. And switch legs. And now pull both knees into the chest. And rock on the spine, come sitting up into easy pose. We end this class with the long time sunshine. Let's may the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on.
May the long time sun shine upon you, and all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you, and all love So